All right, so we are doing game two of the Rabble Round Robin tournament 2022. This is Capture the Flag on Myopia. I'm once again joined by Walter Wight. How you doing?
Doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, so we have this time we have 2.5 minutes to talk about the pregame. We have Father Xmas as captain with Vinarian, Overdose, HMP, and Paris versus the yellow team led by Lord Scary Owl with Walter Wight, Shad, Killer King, and Jahral. So what do you think of these teams?
I think it's interesting to look at the chat. LSO really gave some specific inclinations about how he expected things. So we're playing 5-on-5, huh? Like kind of an oof statement. So I guess let's do a strat that's accommodating to 5 members then, which is a positive. But the ultimate like first thing was, oh, like Paris has chosen a map that is not good for 5-on-5 is essentially what LSO is stating there. That said, it's like, well, let's do our best on how we can. But it seemed like LSO is kind of trying to fly from his wings here. Like he doesn't exactly have a full idea, which is fine. I think that he's working through his process, and then he eventually actually passes out a pretty good trade. And he gives good direction. Whereas I don't see a lot of direction necessarily from Xmas, other than Paris trying to lead the team.
Okay, well, I mean, Father Xmas, he doesn't really chat too much. First of all, I mean, he doesn't chat on voice, and he doesn't seem to give out that many directions when he is captain. So it could be a disadvantage. If do you want to talk about the difference in trades? I noticed that LSO's team has an enormous, probably a max amount of thrall, whereas Team Xmas doesn't have any thrall, but instead has probably max warriors. Do you think that's going to
Oh,
be a huge factor?
I think what's interesting is that LSO's usual strategy for this, when he has 8 people, is max thrall, and so actually he's kind of functioning at a deficit, especially, and so he's like kind of tried to make out like what he thinks players could kind of do with what they can do, and so he's almost like handicapping this team based on his thought. Like he if he just kind of went with his like confident regular strategy, it might work out better. But it seems here this is interesting, especially in this situation.
Well, I think his strategy was that he didn't want this to turn into an archer's fight because he knows that, guys like Father Xmas, HMP, Paris, they're all pretty good at using the archers. And so, if you max Thrall, you can sort of use them. I know you're not too good at sports, but, as offensive linemen in football, and you're just kind of pushing the other team back, and then you creep forward with the archers, and hopefully you'll box in your opponents. I think that's what he was going for.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the fact that when you say that he's starting at a deficit, I mean, I would argue that he almost has a plan. Oh, yeah, sorry, I was supposed to stop at 1 minute. Anyway, so what we see here, HMP down south, pretty much by himself with a variety of units. He is going up against Killer King, Jahral Toad. Anybody else? Doesn't look like it. And then in the west, we have a Gold Pack, Lord Scary Owl with the Heron Guards, and it seems like it is going to be a showdown between Paris and Shad, with you in the west with a wall of thrall. Where's Xmas? Oh yes, Xmas is playing defense. It seems. think
one of Xmas's strengths is running around and kind of doing some almost in the Giant Killer General playbook, almost of myth play, just kind of trying to get behind the units and just cause havoc. Xmas loves that. That seems to be one of his strengths.
causing chaos. So he's. I mean,
He's
I've
trying to get
definitely
around.
seen that in World War II, where he does these ridiculous stunts, and then 9 times out of 10 he gets annihilated. But yeah, it does work out sometimes. I forgot to mention we also have Vinarian next to Paris with a handful of warriors and a dwarf. We have Overdose with 2 goals. I'm pretty sure I asked Father Xmas for the minimal amount of units, so I'm happy that he actually complied. And yeah, so let's kick this thing off. Let's see what happens. Yeah, it's interesting, this gold pack and the Heron Guards just straight up the gut. This is a pure football move. He's either going to rotate east or west and try and surround, I think, one of these side battles. We can see we can see Father Xmas basically walking off the flag, which is an unusual maneuver. I think it's very indicative of the French style of playing, just to abandon your base and basically surrender. We're seeing
I didn't know
LSO's
that our
goal
team had
pack.
that ability. That was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think if LSO just rushed the flag, he could have easily won it. If this goal right here just ran for the flag, the game could have been over.
So
But
I'm not a Shad fan, but I was on the flank of Shad, and Shad and I were absolutely pissed. We had no support, and it just felt like nothing good was happening.
okay, well, I mean, on this side, we've got.
We are slowly surrounding, so I guess like LSO feels like maybe
Flag
that's a
contested.
positive.
Yeah, I
And it
mean,
does, like, if you just look at the overhead map, it seems overwhelming. Like, it seems like yellow has the lead.
yeah, I mean, I think if Yellow just continued that beeline to the flag, we had a walk off by Father Xmas. He could have easily won the game then and there. But you
And
know,
lost the game, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, it's interesting how he. I mean, maybe Father Xmas's
It's
plan was
interesting
to.
how we lost it.
Yeah, maybe Father Xmas's plan was to lure in LSO and trap him somehow, and that's why he walked off the flag. Maybe he's just thinking on a different level. I don't know. But yeah, what we see now is Father Xmas's team sort of bottled up a bit. Paris is fighting for his life. I don't know what happened to Vinarian. He might. Oh, he's down here. Yeah, Paris, he's fighting both you and Shad at the same time, and he seems to be doing quite well for himself. So that's just a testament to how great of a player he is. Overdosed, running around with a single goal, I can see, obviously contributing nothing to his team. We have LSO trying to reinforce you and Shad up north. What's going on over here? I think HMP, he was kind of outmatched by Jahral and Killer King. 2-on-1 is a very difficult thing to do, and so I think HMP's really just trying to slow them down as much as possible, even though he does have quite a few units left. And
When what you had seen on the overhead was a large amount of thrall against a very skillful playstyle. Like had LSO again to the point of earlier, just increase his amount of thrall. That's one strategy, but otherwise, like, you do end up overwhelmed if you're not surrounded by decent units and decent players.
yeah, what I would say for you is
Flag
that I think
contested.
perhaps you should have spread out your thrall a little more. They thrall definitely excel in sort of a wider surface area. I think you're kind of clumping your guys together. I think
And that's not me there. Oh, that is. Holy shit. Yeah, you're right. Okay, I'm sorry.
let's see
Yeah,
what we have
okay.
down south. HMP still
That is
alive.
my fault.
That
Holy
is
shit.
that is a testament to how great of a player he is. As he's exploding. Oh, that was a dud. He's
Well,
fighting.
no, this was late in the game though, so and actually I don't apologize.
Okay,
This
well
was
we have you charging the flag, trying to get a steal. Everybody just starts blowing up here. Who's this Vinarian coming in for the save? You were one thrall away, man. One red thrall away from winning that game. Let's see, but now we have a dud press
well, and
run.
had again LSO just done one thing, but he came in this so late. It was like everything was against it. You know, I couldn't believe that we lost that. It was a very interesting game. Yeah, there was nothing wrong played on the yellow team side. Somehow red won.
Yeah, I think the red team just had some breaks go their way. I mean, when you consider the fact that Overdose really only had 2 goals, it was more or less a 4-on-5 fight. And so, every advantage was really on in Lord Scary Owl's favor. You just sort of propped up
I guess
the
we
leadership.
have to blame it on Shad.
Well, I mean, Shad, you were right next to Shad, so if you were to blame him, then you also might have to blame yourself.
Well, and I do. I always do.
Okay, well, it was a,
Have I never not blamed myself?
I don't know, man. These red
That's the
team.
interesting thing. Everyone thinks like I claim amazingment, and that's not even a word. Someone challenged me on that. No, I believe that we are in a good place.
Yeah,
Who just joined us? Jon God. Jon God, you need to get off the chat.
is Jon God here? What are you doing, man? Are you here to comment on some reg games with us?
Honestly, I just saw that on the sidebar. It's like somebody's streaming live on this server. It's like, what? All right. So I just
Oh,
clicked it, and it's like to view. It popped me in the audio chat. So I was like, oh, well, okay.
well, welcome. We're commenting on some of the Rabble Round Robin games that were played last Saturday. It's a tournament that Paris is hosting. It's regular myth, so I'm almost ashamed that I'm hosting this voice chat in the World War II server. I should feel absolutely embarrassed, and I do. But yeah, you're more than welcome to sit back and relax and watch some terrible myth if you're so inclined.
So
But yeah,
terrible, man. I didn't know you had any games with me playing.
yeah, but yeah. So Walter, the game just ended. You can see that you could see the damage dispersion. Obviously, Paris with the most damage. HMP, a very dominant performance, holding down the South pretty much by himself. And then relatively even damage on the for the top three of Lord Scary Owl's team, and then Killer
I think
King
it can be
also.
very indicative that Ja beat me.
Jahral was on your team.
Correct. Can you real quick go through, since we're gonna parse hairs, what damage means based on like basically the standing of everything, like what the colors, like yeah, no, not that. Essentially, yeah, no, statistically, it's wonderful.
I heard what it said about you.
Thank you, God, Jon God.
Yeah, and then of course Overdose with the lowest amount of damage, a very low contributor to this game. But Paris, always willing to play the hero, always willing to stack up the damage. I will note, like what you said last game, he did get 20 losses. Father Xmas with 20 losses, even though I think he had at least 15, 10 thralls, somewhere around there, right? So that's probably where a lot of that came from.
And also, right before you go into the next one, I do want to point out that Jahral had a really amazing week this week. And if you go to schulzart.com, you might be able to buy some of his art, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's hard to tell what's better, his art or his gameplay, and maybe this is one of those weeks where he just conjured up a masterpiece. Anyway, yeah, so let's finish this one up, and we will see you in the next game.